going on, guys? So this is the next part of the PS3 restoration project, and if you didn't watch the first part of it, I'll put a link up in the description somewhere in the video anyway. So what we've determined is this console runs firmware 3.50, so it can be jailbroken, which is very good. And I've just ripped the top off it, and as you can see, it is completely filthy. Now, this hasn't been opened ever, so I broke the seal on it just then. The seal's just there. And yeah, so when the PS3 came out, it was 2006, I think. So it's 2014 now, so yeah, a couple of years of dust. These things are a big dust magnet. Now, the problem with this machine is it keeps on turning off as well. So that's more than likely the board. The thermal paste is probably just dried out and it's just getting a bit wonky. Also, could be an issue with this here power supply, so I'll have to crack that open and have a look at it. But the first thing we have to get through is cleaning out all this filth. As you can see here, it's very dirty. The thing I don't like about the bigger PS3s, the original ones, was that the side of the Blu-ray drive always goes rusty because it sits right next to the vent there. See, you can see it's basically just choked itself to death. You're gonna have to get a vacuum cleaner and clean this out. Also, along the back here usually gets pretty dusty. But the actual fan itself seems fine, so I think most of the dust has just gotten caught up in the top of the unit here. So I'm going to strip all this down and then clean it, and then take out all the plastic pieces, so all the housing and stuff, strip the housing completely apart, like unclip all these little bits along here and everything, and wash it. So I'm going to run it through the dishwasher or something. Probably easy, just wash it by hand. I won't bother filming that because that's probably boring. So now, I've seen cockroaches and stuff in consoles before, but never a lizard. He's pretty far gone. He's like fossilized. Little guy. Fossilized lizard. Alright, so all the parts have dried out now. And they're looking pretty good. They're not in too bad of shape. They have a little bit of scratches on them and things like that, but they should be okay. I'm going to have to replace the felt on the inside of the optical drive on this one, but other than that it should be okay. Get a nice big close up here. So it turned out okay. Now all I have to do is just replace the thermal paste on the board, maybe replace the power supply entirely. Probably quicker and easier than cleaning it and making sure it's actually going to work. It's probably just easier just to replace it. I've got ones that I know that work fine. And it should be okay. I've also got the 3.55 firmware for it and the latest Rebug firmware for it, so I can jailbreak it and then spoof it. I won't be using it online because I already have a PS3 that goes online anyway. This is really just for fun and just to have, I guess you could say, a collector's item. So I'll be back in a little bit. I just took the fan blades off so I could wash them, and if you've never seen what the inside of a PS3 fan motor looks like, it's pretty impressive. Like, this thing is big. There's a lot of power in it. It's a 12 volt fan and it uses a PWM line to control the speed, which is, I think it's the grey wire on here somewhere. Probably have a look on here somewhere, it'll tell you. Anyway, it's the 16 blade fan. It's a Nidec one. It's all out of focus. It's a Nidec one, and what I've done is I've just undone the little ring clasp that holds the actual fan blades in, and they go on like in a little shaft. It's pretty impressive because most fans they just float there. They use magnets, but this actually uses 2 sets of bearings, which is pretty neat. So it's a pretty good fan. Like, I don't think like most even like fans like that aren't even built that well. Yeah, so that's just drying now, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to rip off these heat sinks here and give them a clean too. And to do that, all we have to do is undo these 4 screws. I don't have a Torx screwdriver, so because I'd really like to know what the default setting for these is and leave them at that, just so it, like, they spent millions of dollars designing this thing, like they would have done it properly the first time. Yeah, and give the board a quick little look over, see if it's got any issues there. Doesn't look like it. And I am going to replace the power supply, I think, with the cleaned up one that I've got laying around, a spare one. Maybe even pull one out of a 40 gig or something. One of the ones that has a plastic power supply instead of a metal one. They tend to run a bit cooler apparently. I don't know if that makes any difference. I'm also going to look at putting a fan booster on it. Basically all that does is just increases the voltage on the PWM line going into the fan. Like, it just adds probably 10%, 20% to it. So if the PWM is running at, say, 1.5 volts, so half speed, it would push it out at like 2 volts or 2.1 volts, so it goes a little bit faster, pushes more air out and keeps it cooler. Yeah, but anyway, this machine's going to be jailbroken anyway, so I don't think I'll even need that, because I'm pretty sure you can get little widgets and stuff, little applications you can install on the system to boost the fan anyway. I just realised that just then, so happy days. So if you ever go to pull off a heatsink or something, or anything that's really stuck down with just normal thermal paste, if it's a bit stuck and it won't come off, what you can do is you can actually just, if you just warm it up, it's pretty easy. What you can use is, I use my hot air station because it's right here next to me, but you can just use a hairdryer or something, just get it a bit warm, not too hot. You don't want to heat up the package underneath it. You don't want to heat up like your GPU or anything at all, really. You just want to warm up this part here, so it's just pretty warm, and then all you have to do then is you can just pull it straight off, because when thermal paste gets a bit old, it does dry out and go a bit funky. Like this here, I'm rubbing my hands on it, nothing's coming off, it's completely dried out. The only reason why this system is still working was there's a tiny little bit that's still damp there, and the fact that it was so stuck down that it was making just physical contact with it. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to replace this thermal paste with some silver based stuff, and hopefully that should fix the issue I've been having. Okay, so I've formatted the hard drive. I just kept the 60 gig hard drive in here because that's all I really had laying around, and I've just got a fan blowing on the power supply just for now. I think the power supply is on its last legs because sometimes it'll have a critical error, just won't boot, turn on at all, it'll flash up with the yellow light, and if you power cycle it, it'll turn on, and you can hear the relay flicking over in there. That ticking noise is just the optical drive. I haven't got to looking at that yet, but turn on the controller. I'm using this upside down, by the way. System settings. and as you can see it's on 3.55, so now I can jailbreak it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put this console back together, and then I'll see you in the next video.